No, but it's because they're now all these companies are making a spectacle of it and saying, we are DEI approved over here. We did it. Yeah, we did it. We have all the, it's like now we're all looking at it like, what? So is that person, qualified?
Even with the Rockettes, for one, it's like you see the Rockettes, and what it does is put Black people in a position to know that we didn't get it by merit. So when you see that black leg come up in the Rockettes, like DEI, that's the only reason she's there. It's just like when you start seeing more black legs and all of it. It's like, well, huh?
Hi everybody, welcome back to our channel. Sorry we didn't have a video last week. Our green screen, it was just a mess trying to edit that and a mess up our videos. So we have kind of this temporary background here. It's just a natural background. Here, we had a lot of new subscribers, and so we just wanted to thank you guys for taking the time to look at our videos and showing interest in our channel. We really appreciate that. We have been sent a video of Charlie Kirk. He's in a lot of hot water, but he always is in hot water, I feel like. But he made a statement about Black pilots. We're gonna hear what he said. He was on Megyn Kelly, so it's the clip that was sent to us. It was a Megyn Kelly clip. So I'm just gonna use this clip to, I guess, look at this. So here we go.
You got yourself in some trouble online because you're always stirring up trouble online.
Oh, I'm such a troublemaker.
You are a troublemaker. Reacting to a June 2021 clip, but it was making the rounds on X, of the CEO of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, talking about their quotas over at United for diversity in the ranks of pilots, which is extremely controversial for obvious reasons. Here's the clip that you were reacting to in SOT 13.
How is diversity and diversity targets working into the Aviate Academy?
We have committed that 50% of the class of the classes will be women or people of color. Today, only 19% of our pilots at United Airlines are women or people of color. And by the way, from all the data I've seen, that's the highest of any airline in the country.
White males don't just dominate in the cockpits, also in the C-suite at United Airlines.
Well, look, at United, I'm proud of the diversity that we actually have in our C-suite. I think if you look around corporate America.
Correct me if I'm saying, though, so this was just based off your website, the people you list as executives, but out of 11 people, 3 are women. I believe 1 is a person of color.
That's correct. But, in corporate America, I think,
That's a low bar. How do you raise your own bar?
Well, a lot of this is, focusing on it. We have programs one of the things we do is for every job when we're doing an interview, we require women and people of color to be involved in the interview process.
Like, companies have been reduced to this. This is what they've been reduced to now with this diversity thing and this inclusion situation. They've now been reduced to making sure they fit a quota, a certain percentage of a certain race of people, gender, it all has to fit this certain box. And now these people their companies are hiring people. I'm afraid now they're not hiring people based off of merit.
Right.
Now I feel like just hiring based off of you're Black or you're a woman or you're gay or whatever.
I don't see why we're hiring people based on skin color and gender.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about taking people thousands of feet up in the air and you're not making mittens.
Right.
You can kill people. You know what I mean? And so it should be like back when Steven Crowder was talking about how they lower the bar for women in the police academy
and the military
so that women can be a part of the military and police academy. And my argument was his argument was that no, if a woman can meet the bar of a man, then she should be a part of the police department. She should be a part of the military. But lowering the bar puts us at risk.
It does.
Because if you're a woman and you can't physically manhandle a man and you're a cop and I'm calling you.
Yeah.
Then you're in the same position as me, and then that means you're ineffective, and I want a man to show up. You know what I mean? So the same thing here. Obviously everybody's going to get the job, can fly a plane, but we're talking about we want the best of the best up in this air. So if you don't meet it, then I don't care what race you are, I don't care what gender you are, I want the person who's the best pilot flying the plane.
Shut up. Oh, I'm sick of this nonsense.
It's so repulsive.
All right, so wait, let me finish it by your reaction to it. And people freaked out because you said the thing that you're not supposed to say, but that's what you're known for. Here he is in SOT 14 on Charlie's show.
And that's why I think this United story and the DEI story hits so hard, because we've all been in the back of a plane when the turbulence hits, or when you're flying through a storm and you're like, I'm so glad I saw the guy with the right stuff and the square jaw get into the cockpit before we took off. And I feel better now thinking about that.
No, I mean, like, you want to go thought crime? Like, I'm sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Well, that's the you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have. You wouldn't have done that before.
That's not an immediate.
No, you wouldn't have done that before.
That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
The meltdown after this with people like, oh, and the response, the proper response was from you, from people like Matt Walsh. This is the world you people have created. You have created this world where you make somebody's skin color the sole criterion for hiring, and then you react in horror when people wonder whether the qualifications are also there. The nerve to get so indignant about your reaction to that. This is their world. You're just living in it.
Yes, and I want to just reiterate the essence of that clip that was missed by almost everybody. Jordan Peterson, to his credit, really picked up on it, which is what I was trying to be, very vulnerable with the audience, is that DEI invites unwholesome thinking. And I said, I was saying in the clip, that's not who I am. That's not what I believe. But what it does is it makes us worse versions of ourselves, Megan. That's the whole point of what I was saying, is that I now look at everything through a hyper-racialized diversity quota lens because of their massive insistence to try to hit these ridiculous racial hiring quotas. Of course, I believe anybody of any skin color can become a qualified pilot. That has never been my contention. I mean, it's silly. It's bigoted to think otherwise, right? What I was saying, though, is when you currently have less like 3 to 4% of current pilots are blacks right now, 3 to 4%. And now they want to say this is just a hiring class of candidates. Are there enough candidates to fill the 50% quota? And the other question should be asked is, why is it a problem? Let's just ask the premise. Why is it a problem that 81% are white? And I love the Axios guy. Well, white males are dominating the cockpit. Yeah, those pesky safe flights are dominating our society, Megan. I don't care about the race. I literally don't care. But the premise is as if there's some sort of massive oppression enterprise going on. And so I want to make sure this is clear, because the deeper point even got cut off in that clip, and that's fine, is that DEI creates like bad people. And that's,
you're right.
We walk around asking questions that we otherwise wouldn't ask. I happen to say the quiet part out loud because I don't like thinking that way. I feel dirty. I feel like sinful. I feel that I'm now asking questions I wouldn't otherwise ask, but they've invited this entire conversation. And by the way, I just want to make this clear, because then some people say, but Charlie, they're totally qualified. Hold on. Every analysis that we have of similar quota-based affirmative action programs always results in the lowering of standards, whether it be Harvard, whether it be in federal hiring practices. At Harvard, admission standards were lowered 20 to 30% for black students versus Asian and white counterparts. So you can have one or the other. You can have excellence or you can have diversity. And I, for one, someone who has flown millions of miles and over 3,000 days of travel in the last decade, I want excellence in air travel.
Eli Steele, who I love, he's Shelby Steele's son, and he's brilliant. He's a great social commentator. For the record, he's a person of color. He's a black man, mixed race, I think, in any event, whatever. He says, in response to this, Charlie, he tweeted out, what do you think Thomas Sowell and Shelby Steele have been warning us about for years? We cannot embrace the double-edged sword of racial preferences and its lure of an advantage without being stigmatized as inferior. It's the devil's bargain. It's too easy to point the finger at Charlie Kirk and slam him for racism. That solves nothing, and it makes racism the problem when the left's systemic deployment of racial preferences is the true culprit. This system benefits the corrupted racial essentialists like Claudine Gay at the expense of the aspirational. The sad reality is that the aspirational among us do not need these advantages. We do not need the man to help us. Our people didn't survive slavery for this, and we should honor our ancestors through our untainted achievements.
So I think so when people hear a white man say something like that, the immediate response, if you're not white, if you're black specifically, is to immediately deem him racist. Okay, but we know Charlie Kirk's not racist because Charlie Kirk's not racist. But he's like they were saying, he said the quiet part out loud. The truth is that it does kind of, this DEI thing is making people feel things that maybe they shouldn't feel.
Well, because but the racist person isn't Charlie Kirk. The racist person is the airline.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is they're trying to say we're good white people.
Yeah.
So we're good white people, and we love people. We're equality. So what we're going to do is put people at risk. Mm-hmm. Just so that we don't look like racist people.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of all this.
Right.
The whole point is to put people in positions that they don't belong, just so that you can look good as a person, regardless of their merit. Mm-hmm. And that's the point. You know, we have people like a Thomas Sowell that has great merit, and he's black in an area where it's probably dominated by white men. But he doesn't get any credit because he doesn't go along with, especially in the black community, he doesn't go along with the whole victimhood idea. And so when you don't go along with that, you're not black anymore. Mm-hmm. So me and Charlie Kirk think the same, because if you keep pushing this, I would, as a black person, would think that. Yeah. If I go on a plane and everybody's black, I'm thinking, yeah, are these people qualified? And that's only because they made it such a big deal. Right. If you would just hire people and not go on a newsreel and start talking about that you're going to now hire. It's the same thing with the police officer situation I was talking about. To tell me that a woman is less strong than a man and then put her in a position where strength matters. And then you go call a cop and some woman comes and then she can't fight the guy. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
But I've shared this on the show before, that we had a situation in the hotel I work at. We had a situation where I had to call the police because there was an altercation in a room. The altercation was with, I think, like 2 men, and they were drinking or whatever. Okay, and I had to call the police. Police came, and it was 2 women. Now, my first, this is like unfiltered. My first thought was, oh no, this is not going to go well, because they're not going to be able to. I knew the size of the men. You know what I mean? So I checked them in, and I thought, this is not going to go well. And I was right, because they then had to call for backup, and then 2 men came. Then it was handled.
But then they're not asking also, like, are black people interested in the airline the way white people are?
Yeah, that's another.
See, because there's interest, and then there's interest, and then there's just like being racist about it. Like, I don't want to hire black people, and then there's black people not even wanting the job. So, like they're saying, most people that are pilots aren't even black.
If I can find this article, I looked up this article because of that reason right there. What is the interest in black people being a pilot? Is it a big thing they're really interested in? You know, and this, if I find, I'm going to try to find that article and I'll link it below, but it was saying that in that field of work, that is not a field of work that black people kind of like go to. It's not. Yeah. Not that they don't. There's been lots of black pilots all over the world, but that 3% that they're talking about, that might just, to me, I feel like that would have to be, some part of that would have to be that maybe black people are just not interested in that.
But there was a thing on, that show, the Shark Week. Where they have where the people go into the thing, they mess with the sharks. Yeah. And so there was this big thing going around of how the show never has black people on it. Yeah, I was like, I don't see too many black people want to go mess with sharks. Yeah. But that's not racist. No. That's because we're not interested. So it's just like when women say that they want to be that, well, there needs to be more equality. Well, they want the CEO jobs, but no one wants to be the trash man. Right. There's no interest in making that equal. There's no interest in making like housekeepers, men and women. Most men don't want to be housekeepers. Right. But that doesn't mean it's not equal. I mean, that's not something men are interested in. So the same thing here. I do think that there are some things that certain races of people are just more interested in.
And also, some races are things are just better at.
Yeah,
some races are just better at other things.
I believe that, and so, but you can't say that you're going to now, just so your company looks right. Yeah, that you're going to now insert people. I want the best pilot, the best doctor. I don't care what your race is. There's like, even like in school, like people saying like, oh, my kid you can't teach your child, the school can't teach your child Black history unless the teacher's Black. Why?
What does that mean?
Why?
We're all living the same history. Look, it's all the same history.
Well, when they say their kid isn't learning because the teacher's not the same color as them.
I don't get that either.
I don't get that. What do you mean? It's education. You know what I mean? And so when we start inserting race and things, that's when everything starts to get weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Charlie's not wrong. He's not wrong for thinking that. They're wrong for making race more of a big deal than merit.
Yeah.
And if you are Black and you don't meet the criteria, then you don't meet the criteria. That's just it. If you're a woman and you don't meet the criteria, you don't meet the criteria. If you're gay and you don't meet the criteria, you don't meet the criteria. It doesn't mean that because there aren't enough people in there, then they're not good at that.
Yeah.
And that's just the thing.
They're purposefully now trying to insert. See, that's my whole problem with this whole thing. This DEI is that they're having to go through extreme measures now to make sure they have equal parts of different races and sexes and whatever. They have to make sure it's all equal. And I'm like, no, but this country's not equal, and this country's not equal in Black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, Native American. It's not equal anyways. No. And also, we are only 13% of the U.S. population. White people are above 60% of the U.S. population.
Yeah, but we're not equal.
Right. Yes.
We're sisters and we come from the same parents, but we're both women.
Yeah.
We're both about the same age, but we aren't equal. You can line up 7 white men and they won't be equal.
Yeah.
Some will be greater at other things than some will have some will be better at other things than another person will. There would be some people are better with white collar jobs, and some are better at blue collar jobs. Some you will excel differently depending on who you are, not your race.
Well, they're trying to, and so this whole thing to me is about optics, how it looks. It's not, you know what I mean? Like, this is where it's come down to. How does it look to the world to see, you know, that we have, you know, Black pilots or a certain amount of Black nurses or doctors or whatever? It just comes now, it's down to just a billboard. No, but it's because all these companies are making a spectacle of it and saying, we are DEI approved over here. We did it. Yeah, we did it. We have all it's like now we're all looking at it like, what? So is that person, you know, qualified? Like, even with Charlie Kirk is saying, like, even if I push back on what he's saying and say, well, you know, we can't assume that just because it is DEI that they're not qualified. That doesn't mean that the people, the Black pilots are not qualified. It just means that when you purposefully make special attention to fit a quota, that's when my antennas go up. And it's like an alert. Like, why would you do that? It makes me uncomfortable. I do think that I think based on upbringing and things like that, we do tend to, you know, like, for instance, Indian people, they own a lot of hotels. It's just something that they all do. Doesn't mean that no one else can own a hotel. Yeah. It just seems to be that they want. So I do think that there are just interest that there are some races are just more interested in certain things than other races. But it doesn't mean a Black man can't be a businessman. It doesn't mean he can't be a pilot. It doesn't mean that at all. But it just means that just because it's not equal doesn't mean that it was because of racism or we're not giving anyone a chance. Because even if you put like enough Asian people, or my question is, yes, I know that they can fly a plane. Yes. I'm saying, were they the next best? Yeah. Or were they the 50th best? Because that makes a difference to me when I'm buying a plane ticket and I'm flying over an ocean. And so when I see that DEI thing, I turn my head. I don't want someone to be working on, if I had to have heart surgery, I don't want some person working on me that was affirmative action in.
That was affirmative action in. Yeah. Sorry.
I mean, I know that's...
and everybody knows that's true, including Black people. So they know that. If you are Black and you want and you need something and you're in a position where it's a dire strait sort of thing, whether it's you need a cop, whether you need heart surgery, or whether you want to fly in a plane, things where it could kill you. You do not care what race that person is. You want the best to show up in your life. Right. And if that best happens to be an old white man, then that's what you want. Right. I'm sorry. I know it looks good on TV, but when it comes to your personal health, your personal well-being, you want the best, and you do, and believe me, you do not care what race they are. And if they hadn't have done this and went out and made a big deal out of it, even white people wouldn't care if they had a black doctor. Because they would have just thought,
that's what I'm saying.
He was a, what's his name? The one that separated the twins. I always forget his name. Ben Carson.
Yeah.
And Carson's a genius.
Yeah. But again, that's to your point. That's what I was trying to say before. It almost would be better if they never said anything. If they never said they were even doing this DEI thing, these companies, and they just hired an equal amount of people, and we just didn't know about it, that would almost be better, although we would still be suspicious, but it would be almost better because now we're not really so focused on the fact that this company is big on the DEI.
And also, as a black person, it annoys me because it's not a glass ceiling broken for me.
Yeah.
Because it feels like we just got it so we could shut us up.
Right.
So it's not like I'm triumphant about it. Oh, we should be happy to see ourselves. Yeah, only if it's by merit. Because if they just give it to us because they're getting tired of hearing us whine about it, then did we really get anything?
Well, that would just make you a token.
Right.
That makes you a token black person if you're over here and doing all these commercials, and then you know all we're seeing are black people in commercials when we know that does not match the look of the country. I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, I get it. I get that I'm not saying that we need to hide everyone that's black. What I'm saying is that the way that things look right now, or before all this was happening, it seemed normal to me. When I go out there into the world, I see black people, Asian people, but I see a lot of white people. That's because most of the country is white. Race has to be represented in some way. You can't even go to see a movie anymore. It's funny, whenever I look at movies now, it's like, Kid Rock was on Joe Rogan, and he said this. He said, I love going to movies, but now when I go to movies, it's like these movies, some of these movies are good. He saw a movie that was really good. He was like, but then they just had to insert, the inclusion part of it.
If Charlie,
to make any sense to me.
If Charlie was just going on a plane and the pilot was black, he wouldn't care.
That's what I'm saying.
But because we were given information now, now we're all going to be looking at, we're all 10,000 feet up in the air. We'll all be thinking, I don't care who's sitting up there. We're all just thinking, these people. And it does. I mean,
if you're being honest, though, you would agree.
That's
with
what I'm saying. Even if you're black, you know deep down inside, if you heard a commercial like that. And it was a job where your life was on the line, whether it be, again, a heart surgeon, a police officer, a firefighter, and then all of a sudden you heard that they were going to start making everything 50-50-50, all that. And then all of a sudden you start seeing women and black people and a big increase of it. It's like, your mind would be thinking, I hope this person's qualified.
Well, especially with the pilot situation. Like that example is so perfect with their, because if we know that there aren't a lot of black people who are interested in being a pilot, right? But this company needs to hire more black people, black pilots. Then my question now is to the company is, then what did you have to do to squeeze out some black pilot? You know what I mean? Like, who did you have to move aside to get them in so you can get the DEI going the right way? Like, what did you have to do? You would have to do something drastic.
But if only 3 to 4% of black people or 3% of the black pilots are black, how do you make them 50%?
That's what I'm saying.
That means that you have to use all of them.
They weren't the best. Right.
You know what I mean?
Extreme measures had to be taken to try to find for this, and this is one airline, by the way. We're not talking about a bunch of airlines. We're talking just them right now. They were trying to find. They found it. They figured it out. But I'm just saying, like, did you have to? The question does become like in your head.
Did you have to make that commercial?
Yeah.
What was your purpose of doing that? And that your purpose for doing that was to show the world that you're not racist.
And that's because of the leftist ideologies out there right now.
I mean, I was watching, sometimes I'm watching YouTube when I'm at work or something, and one of the commercials is, there's a new, I think it's a TV show, but it's the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh, yes.
And now it's an Asian and a black man. Right. Asian woman and a black man.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Devil Wears Prada is now, instead of Meryl Streep, they're going to have Vanessa Williams. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to why don't you just make new movies?
It's going to fail. It's going to fail. They all fail.
Like The Little Mermaid didn't do that well.
They all fail.
All of these movies, the Disney, the Snow White, she got shelved. Because Disney didn't like the projection
Right.
of how people were thinking about the actress. You know what I mean? But all of this stuff, when you start trying to take white people out and put black people in, or Asian people in, or you start trying to put in a Hispanic, or you put a gay person where a straight person was at one point. It's just like, why don't you just make new movies? Why do you keep trying to change things around and make the same movie?
Yeah.
And then just, first of all, it's lazy.
Yeah, it
because
is.
you're just taking a movie that's already existing and making more money off the same plot. And just putting different characters in it and calling yourself progress.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think it's lazy, and I think it's
I think it's bizarre.
It's destructive.
Yeah.
And it turns people against each other. People are really honestly getting sick of it. I don't think it makes black people more it doesn't move us up anymore. It just makes us look like
we whine too
we
much.
can't win.
But it also makes us
on
look,
our own.
We're just whining. It just makes people look at black people like we're just whiners.
But it's one thing to do with the movies,
weird.
another thing to do with my life.
Yeah.
I just won't go see a movie. But if I have to get on a plane and then you guys are playing this DEI game.
Yeah.
And I'm 10,000 feet in the air, and I'm wondering if everybody, the woman and the black guy in the the cockpit, know what they're doing for real. If the stuff happens, then we have to get Sully.
Yeah.
Is that his name? The one
Yeah,
that
Sully.
I want to know that you know what you are doing, and I wouldn't have cared if I wasn't served this.
I know.
Before I got on the plane. I used to like flying,
yeah.
and now I'm even more scared.
Which is what Charlie's trying to say, is that it's now turning people into these kind of like I'm not, look, if I go on the plane and I see a black pilot, I mean, I'm trying to think off the cuff because I haven't flown in a little while, but I think personally I'm not going to freak out or anything. I don't feel like I'm going to freak out. But again, I haven't been on a plane in a while. And so when I was on a plane before, it wasn't, all of this talk wasn't so prevalent. You know what I mean? It was so prevalent. So I wonder now, am I going to be like, wait a minute.
Ever since the 60s, really, we have been trying to equalize everybody and trying to make everybody on the same ground. We're not equal. None of us are equal.
Right.
I mean, I actually think that the country is equal because we're not equal.
Yeah.
You don't have to be smart. Everybody has to be the same smartness to succeed.
Yeah. It's true.
It's just not. If we're all doing the same thing, then how do we know that we're doing well? If we're all winning, how do we know who the losers are? You know what I mean? It's like, how do we know the players in the game if everybody's just getting participation awards?
Yeah, that's yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what I'm saying. Again, we have had in history, we've had black people who exceed on many things that we never talk about.
Yeah.
But we don't care about them now. We just care about now because those people got in with merit. They didn't get put in because they were black. Now
there wasn't a DEI push, so they just
black people just created their own businesses.
Right.
They just did their own thing. And now, because we want to be in, I guess, white spaces so badly, that we have to guilt them into getting us in. And it's not really helping us in our mindset. It's making us get mentally lazy. As long as we cry, as long as we cry racism, or as long as we start, talking about our feelings all the time, then, we twist the arm, we'll let you in. Well, okay, fine. I won't go watch your stupid movie, and it is a racist movie when they do that. Racist movie, but I'd be darned if I'm going to get into something where my life's at stake, and then you guys are still pushing this, so we got to get equity bull.
Yeah.
And everybody feels that way too, not just me. Black people, Asian people, everybody. When it comes to your life, your personal life, you want the best. If your child is going to have open heart surgery, you don't care what the doctor's color really is, but you do care if it's the breast surgeon. That's why they tell you that he's at the top of his class, and our president, graduated at the bottom of his class. And see, look how he's running the country. See how we have to know these things before we just give people position.
You would be weird too. You would be. Okay, so we're done with this.
So anyway, DEI.
Yeah. DEI is for the birds. Okay, sorry. I agree with Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk is right.
I know.
This DEI is a big fail for me.
It is, and I don't think Charlie Kirk is racist. I understood what he was trying to say, and if y'all are being honest, if people are butthurt about it, like I don't think that. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't freak out if I went to a plane. I wouldn't freak out. It's like I'm going, oh my god! If I got a plane ticket and went on a plane, and then I saw that it was like a complete, the whole crew was black.
I mean, if I call the police and Cadney and Lacey walked up, I'd be like, y'all do know how to take over these people. These are grown men that are hopped up on drugs. You guys can do something, right? I mean, there are just some times when I see too much happening too soon. Yeah. I'm thinking you was a little bit of an insert. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. When all of a sudden, it just seems like we just all start looking a little too equal. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that. You know what I mean? Like I know what's up with that.
But I don't like my commercials to look equal. I don't like it.
No, because it's not natural.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
It's just not natural. You can't. We're not going to all be equally the same. And if I start seeing 3 men, 3 black men, 3 white men, 3 white women, 3 black women, 1 gay, 2 gays, 3 gays, an Asian, 4 Asians. You know what I mean? And I start seeing it all like that. I'm just thinking,
oh, okay, well,
some of y'all didn't make the cut,
but some of them are not the best at the thing. I'm sorry. It's true. There's no way you can make things equal and then everybody equally be the best.
And again, I don't think anybody would have cared if they wouldn't have done this. Yeah. Even with the Rockettes, for one. It's like, you see the Rockettes, and what it does is put black people in a position to know that we didn't get it by merit. So when you see that black leg come up in the Rockettes, like DEI, that's the only reason she's there. And the girl probably knew tap dance and ballet, because they got to know all 4. So she obviously had something, but it's just like when you start seeing more black legs and all of this. It's like, well, huh?
When I look at the Rockettes, I think this represents America. Like, we don't need any more. It will not make sense anymore. It's supposed to, aren't these things supposed to represent the look of the country? That looks right to me. When I saw a bunch of white legs, I thought, okay.
It's called the American Society of Magical Negroes.
What's the most dangerous animal on the planet?
The shark.
White people, when they feel uncomfortable. White people feeling uncomfortable precedes a lot of bad stuff for us. That's why we fight white discomfort every day. Because the happier they are, the safer we are.
What the?